And so we wanted to talk about some stuff that I wanted to talk about some stuff that has been pressing upon my heart, and that is that I've been kind of foolish and thinking that I knew anything about anything, because really I am so ignorant whenever it comes to this politics. And I realized that to begin with. I wasn't trying to say I knew anything, but I am in my mind. I thought I knew at least something. Had an idea of what was really going on and what should be going on. So I just wanted to put that out there that I'm learning,
So am
and
I.
and I think that we all should be willing to learn, and be actually would be we should all should be willing to be more interested. Let's put it like that. I think we all can agree now that man, our nation has really shown some embarrassing. It's embarrassing of what our politics has become and what our news media has become, and so that's really what's been on my heart. So I just want to put that out there. So you can add anything.
Me too. I'm learning, and we have to have an open dialogue. And I would like for us to think about our rights as citizens versus things that we might lose in the future, depending on how things end up going.
I agree with that 100%.
You know, right now, I think I feel it more because the laws that have been passed in Texas. I have a daughter that it might affect directly, and I think that it consumes me knowing that she lost rights that my mom didn't have, but my mom did have the right to medical treatment if she had a miscarriage. And I think that it is terrible that some of these laws are written so draconian that women will suffer the consequences, or even the children that are uh, left behind if their mom develops sepsis, and can't get treatment because the law specifically states the procedure, not the actual reason for the procedure. And I think people get misconcepted that a DNC is only for an abortion. It is not. It is when you have a miscarriage, the baby cells will drop out, but sometimes the mucus lining or whatever built up because of those cells attached to her uterus do not delete from your body, and they cause you to have a severe infection. And if you leave it gone too long, you could lose your. May have to have a hysterectomy if you're lucky. If I mean, you know, it comes to the point where you're lucky if you only lose the ability to have children. You could lose your life.
I actually know someone personally that had that very issue. Almost died from sepsis. The person was incarcerated, unfortunately, but by her own issues there. We won't talk about that, but the fact that she was denied medical care while she was in custody of the local, anyways, incarcerations departments or whatever. She ended up getting sepsis and almost died from it.
Well, and see,
But
that's
it's
what
true,
the
very
things that
true.
I would like to prevent is I'm not really sure where I stand on all of the rights to an abortion or whatever. I do know that if my mom, I would have liked for my mom to have the ability to make those decisions on her own. I don't. She wouldn't have made the decision to abort me, but she would have made better medical decisions for herself.
I for one feel as though the government
Should not be in your
should
body.
not have to do this in the first place. The problem that at the root cause of the problem, it's us, the people. We are a sinful nation. Yes, we admit it. We're not hypocritical. I'm trying not to be hypocritical. I'm the world's worst. I'm the first one to admit. But it's now because of our sins and our own failure to correct ourselves as a nation, as a person, that our government has felt the need to step into our lives. At least that's
With excuses.
the excuse that we're the moral excuse for it. But there really is no excuse for the government to ever tell a human being uh, what they can and cannot do. I'm sorry, but that's just not right. No government, especially a democratic elected
Republic.
government, people ruled by the people, should have no business telling each other what they should do or what they can or cannot do, unless it involves harming another person or their property. And that's where this topic gets very emotional for people, because some people, this is where the argument starts then. Well, is it harmful? Is the baby considered a person? So that's really where the issue for me is. But again, God forbid any of us ever have to face that difficult position. Okay, but there are times and issues where I believe that, and they say, well, just, in the case of rape or molestation, whatever, that it's not the baby's fault either. So that why should the woman have ability to kill the baby? That is none of my business. That's between her and God.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So how is that the government's business at this point? That's where I stand on it. How is this the government's? How did they feel as though they had the right to demand that someone else believe the same way that they believe in the first place? This is supposed to be a free country. Freedom of religion in itself should cover that issue.
It should. Yeah, because Jewish, it's not it's not against the Jewish religion.
Well, it's not about Jewish. It's not about Christianity. It's not about. They say it is, but look, it's not about any religion. That's not the issue. That's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that these founding fathers wrote our Constitution. If you're a constitutional believer in American citizen, then you should believe that these men wrote down exactly what they said, why they said it, and how they said it. There is really no more open to interpretation other than read it for what it says. And it very clear, maybe we should read it sometime, just so we can go over these things. But these were not. Yes, they did dedicate this nation to God. This was considered a Christian nation, but these were wise men who also knew what it was like
To live under a king.
To be persecuted for their beliefs. And that's exactly why they decided, as wise men, we can coexist. For all we know, we could all be praying to the same God, just called him by different names, because that's all we were ever taught. That's, for all we know, that's the truth, but we don't know. We won't know for sure until we get there, until our last day on earth. But meanwhile, we should not, if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, you have no right to tell someone else, the next person, how to live their life, how to believe. And I'm a Christian believer, and I'm speaking this out. I have no right to tell someone else how they should believe.
And I'm not sure that this is really about the issue of abortion, so to speak, because if one of these judge's daughter got pregnant or whatever, they would have the money to facilitate whatever medical needs that they needed. But I do think that what we could talk about, because really I don't think it has anything to do with their belief system other than to roll back rights that were given in the 60s so that we can go back to a more ownership, because like women weren't allowed to have credit cards in their name or checking accounts and all that stuff. So
this is your theory.
This is my opinion. Okay. This is what I believe. Right. Okay, and I believe that they also want to roll back rights for minorities, because just by the way that they strung back the voting rights legislation and the other stuff on, and I'm talking about the Supreme Court now, the judiciary of our government, has been hijacked by a corporation, the Heritage Fund. And they lobby, they put lots of money into getting these judges on the bench. And actually, right now, the Project 2025 is one of their big presentations to their base about what they want to accomplish.
And base, you mean?
The GOP, white Christian base. But I think and it's true of both parties. I'm not like both parties will probably promise you whatever they can, and then they don't deliver. But currently, the GOP is in a position where,
and then blame each other.
Correct, and then it's all deflection mostly. They both telling each other what they doing. But I believe that it is a fear of losing power within a social structure that actually is made up, because I do think that the more rights that everybody has, the more rights that the people that are in power have.
Well, say that again.
I believe that the more rights that the people have, the more rights and faith that the people in power would have.
Would enjoy. Dude, this is y'all's future senator right here, man. Somebody, that is spoken by like a true genius, man. That was awesome. That was very wise. I agree with that statement.
And I think that what some of us don't realize is that some of these plans or goals were set even prior to most of us were born. Even me. They had a bird society or birch society that wanted to do all kinds of things like they're doing now on the court. And now it's the Heritage Foundation. But what actually happened was that they had a minuscule majority on the Supreme Court when they rolled back the Citizens United legislations of the Voting Rights Act. And with that, it allowed corporations to donate whatever they wanted to. How much ever money, whatever they did, lobby. It really opened up the corruption way, way farther than it was ever open after the Voting Rights Act.
I believe that every time that we have started to change or pass legislation, additional legislation to the original, how many amendments did we have?
I
Up
think
until
we had 19.
Up until the the Jim Crow laws and all that was necessary. Yes, legislation was still necessary.
And the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, but man, once we got to a certain point, I think our generation, especially, man, millennials, Generation Xers, even the baby boomers, the end of the baby boomers, man, I think we kind of had it where we needed it. That we were good as far as our Constitution really didn't need to be added to at that point. We had some great years, I feel like. You know, a lot of people say Reagan and Jimmy Carter and Bush even. You know, these years were decent. We weren't perfect. I'm not saying that. We were doing a lot of stuff abroad that we probably shouldn't have been doing. But, you know, a lot of times, we did, as a moral high ground, try to step in and save the little guys. But at least that is the common belief, or that we should have been doing it for. But anyways, as far as a nation, our Constitution, man, I just don't see, because whenever I was growing up, 2001 was the big deal breaker for me, where we obviously stepped way over the line as far as passing legislation that infringed upon rights that did not need to be even messed with at this point.
No.
There was no reason to go that far with it.
No, and I understand, but some of the relationships that we have still presently today are some of the same people that funded the attack against the United States. And we don't talk about that. And they're actually involved in the corruption that we have now, Saudi Arabia. And we're currently helping them in a war in Yemen that we should not be. But
It all boils down to
it's all corruption.
Politics.
And the biggest
Politicians
thing
that are
in
corrupt.
the Constitution was about corruption. It was about holding each body of government responsible for their actions, and no foreign entities should be benefited above the American people.
Spoken once again like a true patriot. Mahoney for Senate, y'all.
Yeah, 2020.
2026, 2024,
2026, yeah.
2026.
Yeah.
Mahoney for Senate. Hasn't decided where. You have multiple options. Huh? that you
Well,
thought
I don't
about.
know if I could win in Texas. They don't. They like these older white men. Hopefully they got a. Well, we have had some really good senators though, so I can't complain.
We've had some bad ones too.
Yes, we do have currently bad ones.
I don't know about currently. I don't. Well, I don't know who you're referring to, but
Well, Ted Cruz
okay.
is
That's what I
different.
was thinking of.
And John Cornyn has some special issues that.
Ted Cruz started out good though. Didn't
Yes, he did. He was
He
was trying to
kinda-
disrupt the
Establishment.
establishment. But now he's gone
A little extreme.
to disrupt
Or
the
he got
entire
corrupt.
government.
Well, that's what I want to believe, that these people intended whenever you join, whenever you step out there and for your country as a patriot who wants to be in service or for a good moral reason wants to do this. I want to believe that that's why we do have politicians originally, but they all, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they all end up getting corrupted a little by little. So that's why I definitely believe we need to have term limits. Why do we not have term limits? Because we know that these people can be corrupted, will be corrupted. It's impossible to stop. That what's up to them is how much corrupt they become, or how fast they become corrupted. So if we all know this to be true, why are we still not allowing, why are we not putting term limits?
Well, because Bernie had all of that in his voting rights legislation that he wanted to pass in 2020.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, yes, and he has an anti-corruption bill. And he is the only, well, he's not the only one, but he's one of the most prominent senators that does not take corporate PAC money. He does not accept donations from anybody
I'm
other
thirsty.
than small donor dosage.
I'm sorry. Would you like something while I get?
Soda, please.
Keep going.
He's the only one that doesn't take small donor donations that I know of so far. I'll have to look into it to see. I mean, doesn't take big donor donations
He's the only senator
that I know about so far. There are a few people in the House that call the Justice Democrats. Now, they would be considered the far left in their...
leaning progressives.
Yes, it's AOC,
Liberal.
Ilhan Omar. They are called Justice Democrats. That's the thing that they were run under to get their seats. And
What, did they end up getting corrupted?
no,
You don't think yet?
no, they still don't accept corporate PAC money.
That we know about, anyways.
Well, no, they give their donations, and everybody, they have suffered a lot of consequences for actually joining the House of Representatives. AOC is not the most threatened congresswoman, but
She's one of them.
her and Ilhan Omar and another Rashida Tlaib had more death threats in the last 4 to 6 years than anyone in the history of the United States.
So it's obvious they've been targeted by more than just random psychos.
Yes, they're purposely targeted because they're easy to blame because they're young, they're naive, they're...
And their hearts are in it for
yes,
the right
they're for
reasons.
humanity. Ilhan Omar grew up in a refugee camp in Somalia.
Right.
AOC lost her father early on, and she worked as a bartender when she decided to run for the...
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
In New York City. And she is a New York congresswoman, so what they need in New York City is way different than what we would think we would need in...
Southeast Texas?
Yes, but what I also think is notable to mention about AOC is Ted Cruz. We had a grid failure in Texas, also by legislation, corruption by corporations, and rolling back regulation on electrical companies. the grid, detaching it from the federal system.
Right.
And when our grid failed and 200 people died and many homes were destroyed because they froze, the pipes froze, everything froze.
Ridiculous.
Ted Cruz was going to Cancun.
Right.
AOC came here to raise money for those families.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow.
Um,
And then, of course, I'm sure in response, they were called publicity stunts or whatever, trying to take advantage of it.
right, but they actually provided aid. They came
Right.
and gave the people that were really...
Again, and this is all boils down to, hey, show me the proof. The proof is in the pudding, y'all. What do these people do? Not what they say, because anybody can say anything about anybody, which is all they want to do these days. But what are they actually doing? If you can show me proof, like you're showing proof now. These
Yes.
people, what they did mattered. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of people we need in Congress. That's the kind of senators we need. That's the kind of government that we need.
Well, and see, Ilhan Omar, because she was in a refugee camp from Somalia, she has a certain, how I would say, a foreign relations ability to. She was on a foreign, foreign security, national security board about us doing, like the CIA interrupting other things in the country.
Right. That, these deep state secret operations and stuff, man, that bothers me too.
And
Big time.
they removed her from her committee because of
And they meaning
the GOP would not allow her to sit on the committee. And they made her step down from the committee. They took away her committee assignments.
And for what reasons did they say?
They used it as she had mistakenly typed on a text that it was all about the Benjamins, not knowing, I think, because English is her second language.
Right, it's all about
that,
the Benjamins. Is a
that
movie.
is
It's
but
a slang
also
phrase.
not knowing that it is a Jewish hate trope.
What? I've never heard that in my life. See, and obviously, how would she have ever heard that?
I didn't know. I thought it was about the movie too, or the song.
Dude, what the heck? So, I mean, right, really?
So she actually was reprimanded.
Even though that
And
her
taken-
proof and putting everything that she's done so far deserved recognition. She was doing the right things for the right
Yes,
reasons.
she was talking about corporate lobbies, lobbies for foreign actors, and this ability to turn the American citizens against a politician for calling out about corporate PAC money. Is
This-
really what
Mad.
what happened to her. And as a matter of fact, she gets lumped in with 9/11 all the time.
Yeah, I mean, even Trump has slaying some accusations.
Oh, and
at
then
her,
the
man.
GOP in
It's like,
Tennessee
whoa,
had like
dude.
a picture of her at the tower with her little picture on there. They were trying to get her killed, really. I'm not knowing who individually are, but
Right, I
they
mean,
knew what they were sowing.
But we can clearly see what's going on.
They knew what they
We-
were sowing.
We
And
as American citizens with media and with enough knowledge are not stupid. We can see what's been going on, and I think that's why this even show is even getting views. Because everybody sees it, and we're talking about it, and that's what we're about. Y'all, please continue talking about
Well,
this
and
stuff.
I think that what we're missing is even if this was bent on, say, it is Christianity, because that's what they're using as an excuse for.
Right, under the guise of religion.
Yes, under the guise of Christianity. But even if you were, Ilhan Omar's bent on being a progressive and a Justice Democrat means that she doesn't take corporate PAC money, like I said.
So it makes her an easy target as far as her
Yes,
religious
yes,
beliefs.
and because she is for the human rights of everyone in the world,
Right.
not just the ones that we pick and choose
Right. It's
because
the
they're
furthest
our
thing
friends
from a
right
racist,
now.
that's for sure.
Well-
or anti-Semitic.
Right, and because the Palestinians right now are being attacked by Israel when Israel's real enemy is a terrorist group called Hezbollah and Hamas.
And others, many others. I'm
But
sure.
they're in this like open air prison in the Gaza Strip. They're not allowed to go freely into Israel, even though they're
And they're from there.
Yes.
They're Palestinians who were born there.
Yes, and right now they have a far right government, like many of the countries across the world, are getting into like far right. And let me get this: it's not necessarily that it's just so far right; it is more towards a fascist government, where the government has total control over its citizens, and there is no laws recognized by the government. And I think that that is where people like Ilhan Omar, when they're talking about, there's a lobby group, and it's called APAC,
I've heard of it.
and that was who she was saying about the Benjamins, but she was talking about the corporate thing. And I also think that when we're criticizing the Israeli government, we're not criticizing or wanting to stoke hate for the Israeli citizens. I think they're majority totally innocent of those actions against the Palestinians. Most Israelis don't want to displace the Palestinians and kill children and all that stuff. But the powers take it upon themselves to do more in war than they were actually authorized by the government or by the people of their country for their own corrupt reasons. I believe that the United States really messed up when they didn't hold anybody accountable for some of the things that happened in George Bush's administration, because it led to more and more things being done under the guise of national security that didn't have anything to do with our national security. It had more to do with oil or whatever it had to do with oil.
Hello, come on now. The good old boy system.
So, in retrospect, I see that we've gone way farther. I don't think that we noticed it in 2001, except for maybe travel and things that affected our. Well, of course, the people that lost all the people from the towers and all, but I don't think that we realized how much rights we gave up until way later. And by
for sure.
by people that
Until people started getting on airplanes, and it taking a whole day to get to an airplane. I mean, that's when people really started to realize, wait a second, how are these people able to violate my rights?
well, right.
You know what I'm saying? Body scan me, see me naked and stuff like that, look through my things, and that's when we started realizing, what have we done? You know what I'm saying? Like, we understood, and we got to stop the terrorists, but you know, I still feel like that was not the solution.
But we didn't stop the terrorists because there was another guy from Saudi Arabia that blew up an Air Force base, or it was either Air Force or naval base.
And that boils down to our national morality.
Well, it
we
also
are
boils
being
down to these weird
punished
deals
for our
that we do.
sins, and this is obvious. You know, this is the same thing that any nation that is dedicated to God, just like Israel was dedicated to God, America was dedicated to God. God will hold you accountable for that. And as a nation, and I know that people are going to disagree with all that, but this is just what I believe, and this is a form of judgment. God removes His hand of protection and allows the enemy to attack, to do what it as an enemy does, and that is meant to correct us, to get us to wake up, and say, "Oh my God, what happened? How could this horrible thing happen to us?" And it's supposed to make us, God said, if those who are called by my name, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will heal their land. I will hear from heaven and I will heal their land. That is where we should have turned. And instead, we, out of pride, you know what I'm saying? And here we go. Now we're back into more wars that were not necessary.
Well, and they didn't accomplish anything except for making the world less safe. Killing Saddam Hussein gave rise to many more atrocities.
Yeah, he kind of kept that region in check,
Yes.
it seems as though.
Yes, he kept Iran in check.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. And
Right.
we're talking about ancient, like, Babylonian Empire versus Persian Empire type stuff,
Ottoman,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at, like, stuff that's throughout history has developed, man, and now we have put our hands right in the middle of all of it. trying to act like we're the moral high ground here, that we're the world police or something. Man.
Well, and if we would hold our own accountable, then we could all be in the world and do.
We could have a better effect on the world.
Well, we would have more world peace and world cooperation.
Yep. All right, 30 minutes. We're going to end this one for now. Please like and subscribe.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.